What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 2, you guys, episode 16, and the episode was titled Holy Mother of Zen, you guys. So, before we go ahead and get into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel, and you guys are not yet subscribed to the channel, then I'm going to need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me on this date and having me foot the bill at the end of it. Do me that favor by liking the video, you guys, subscribe to the channel, turning your notifications on, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, shall we? Alright, guys, so the episode. Now, the episode actually started out pretty interesting, right? So, in this episode, we got the husbands. So, it wasn't really a lot with the husbands. We saw Justin, we saw Dewey, we saw Seth, and we saw John, right? So, there was no Coach Shaw, and there was no Robert Sr. They were playing golf, right? And they're talking about Seth's birthday that's coming up. So, Meredith is going to be throwing Seth a birthday party. And then they also discuss that, Mother's Day is around the corner. And, they were, I think it was Seth who asked if they had, any plans for their wives. But seems like none of them really had plans for their wives. So it was their idea that production gave to them to send the ladies on an excursion for Mother's Day. So they're going to send the ladies to Zion, right? Now, I don't forget who asked the question. I don't know if it was Dewey or I think it was Dewey. But, someone said, well, will Jen be going? And we know the issue. Well, we don't really know the issue between Jen and Meredith. But suffice it to say, Jen will be going on this trip, right? So that's it for the husbands. We're going to move forward, you guys. So next up, we have Heather, right? So we see Heather. So she and Jen, they are going to go to the spa, right? So this is Heather's way of basically just getting Jen's mind off of all the legal issues that she currently is facing, right? So they sit down, right, and they start talking, and they talk about the fact that Meredith, you guys remember when Whitney had her event last week, in last week's episode, that not Whitney, but Meredith was defending Jen, right? Talking about how Jen needs a friend, but at that time she was saying that she can't be a friend to Jen, which I still am confused as to why she can't be a friend to Jen. But you know what? That ain't got nothing to do with me. But I found it kind of interesting. So Jen feels that Meredith might be against her because of these allegations against her. And I was like, when Jen said that, I'm like, okay, that does actually make a lot of sense, right? Because like I've been saying for weeks now, right? Meredith and remember, Meredith took Jen and Brooks out. They had a conversation, and they were able to move forward. So it's just interesting that Meredith is now bringing back up this whole Jen came after my family thing. It's like she came after your family, yes, I'm gonna give you that. But you and Brooks sat down with her, so why are we still regurgitating something that has already been, I guess, rectified or so to speak? Like I was just thrown off by that part. Like, why do we keep mentioning something that you guys have already discussed? You get what I'm saying? That was just confusing to me. Why are you still talking about something that had already been hashed out? Maybe I don't know. I just wonder why she keeps bringing that shit up. But hey, she does that. But then Jen talks about the fact of Mary, right? That with Mary, you know, what she's saying is with Mary, the situation with Mary is Mary says things about Mary says rude and disrespectful things all the time, but she doesn't feel that anybody holds Mary's feet to the carpet. Well, I think the reason why a lot of people don't hold Mary's feet to the carpet is because people, for some odd reason, they fear Mary. I don't know why. I'm not. Well, I know why they fear her because of that her church and the fact that people say it's a cult and whatnot. But that's still not something that to fear this woman over, right? Like I wouldn't fear Mary Cosby. Mary wouldn't strike fear in me. Speaking of Mary, you guys, so you guys do know that the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion, they filmed it last Thursday. Mary did not come to the reunion. Mary has had some cryptic messages on social media, right? On Instagram, she was talking about basically how reality TV is just negative and warps your brain and all this kind of stuff. Then I saw on Reddit where this fan page that's of hers, she typed out this long, huge essay to the person to remove her name from it and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm surprised anybody would make a fan page for Mary. I mean, I like Mary, but yeah, interesting, right? So then they're talking about, the fact that Meredith is throwing a party for Seth, right? So Heather asked Jen, was she invited? Jen says she wasn't invited. Now, Heather, we've heard multiple times that we heard back in Vail that Meredith said, if you guys are going to have an event and you guys want to invite Jen Shaw, don't invite me. So she's having her event or her party for Seth. Why would you expect her to invite Jen, right? Why would you expect that? Like, I just wonder why would you expect that? Now, also, one thing that they did make a good point about with Mary, right? Anytime someone calls Mary out on her shit, Mary deflects or she disengages and walks away. If she doesn't say that you're lying. So then we bring up this whole situation of do Mary and Meredith know more than what they're saying? I'm gonna give you guys an honest answer. No, they don't. They don't know more than what they're saying. Do I think it was a coincidence that they decided not to show up for the to get on the bus to go to Vail? No. Whitney and Whitney and Mary had their issues prior to Vail, right? Mary really wasn't feeling Jenny, right? She just had got over her shit with Lisa. So I don't put too much into that. I really don't. But that's it for Heather. We're gonna move forward, you guys. Let's talk about Jen real quick. Let's talk about Jen, then we'll move back over to Meredith. So we'll talk about Jen. So Jen and Sharif. So like I just said, Meredith had the party right for Seth's birthday. And remember, I told you she didn't invite Jen, which I never expected for her to invite Jen. And I'm still kind of confused as to why Heather asked that question. Why would you expect her to invite someone she told you guys not to invite somewhere that she is? This is her party. Why would she say, "Oh, just because"? When she could have done that. She could have done this. Sharif and Seth are cool. Invite them, but put a stipulation on. I don't really want to deal with Jen. I don't want Jen in my presence or stuff like that, right? You could have said a multitude of things, but she didn't, right? And she chose not to invite them at the end of the day. So we see Jen and we see Coach Shaw, and they're doing this couples therapy assignment, and they're painting. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys are in couples therapy? Remember, last season, Jen would have had you think that her marriage was damn near perfect, right? But I think a lot of people called bullshit on her marriage last season. And if you watched the special that ABC and Hulu did on her, they said that at one point she and Sharif were living separate lives. Still think that they are. I still think Sharif has another family, and he's just doing this for the sake of her and the show, right? So he's telling her about the trip to Zion, right? And she's like, "So am I actually invited?" He says, "Yes." So she's gonna go to Zion, right? That's it. She's gonna go to Zion. And now we're gonna move over and we're gonna discuss Meredith, guys. So this party that Meredith is having for Seth. Seth is very inappropriate because let's go back to when he was with the guys, right? And they were talking about his party. He told them to have their wives show as much cleavage. I'm like, Why are you saying this to these men about their wives? It's creepy to me. It's really creepy. So they get there right, and like I said, I'm just gonna continue to say it. Seth is hella inappropriate. So Whitney and Heather are there, right? So once again, we're talking about the fact that Jen was not invited to the party. Heather and Whitney. I like both of you guys, but let's stop playing like it's just this. Let's stop playing um, like oh my god, you know, why would Meredith not invite Jen to this party? She does not like the girl. She said it on multiple occasions. If you're having something and you invite Jen, don't invite me. She said that. Like, she said that multiple times. So I just didn't get why Heather and Whitney were making such a big fuss about it. Like, I really didn't get it, right? They're not friends. They are not friends. So, Mary is there, right? Mary was not interacting with any of the ladies. Now, Dewey did, say something to her, and she addressed Dewey. But she didn't address Jenny, she didn't address Heather, Lisa, or, what was there? Whitney? She didn't address Whitney. She didn't address Jenny, Heather, or Lisa. But she did talk to Meredith, right? And her and Meredith are having a conversation. And they're talking about Whitney's party and the fact that, they believe that the ladies, this is coming from Meredith, what Meredith said. She felt like the ladies were attacking her instead of actually just educating her about basically what offended Jenny, right? And I was like, that's not the case, Meredith. I don't think that they were attacking her. I believe that they were calling Mary out for once. Mary couldn't handle it, so Mary got up and left the table. But I don't feel that they were attacking her. Now, if we go back to Jenny's fall lunch, yes, that was an attack. If we go back to the fall lunch, I felt like the ladies were ganging up on Mary at that table. But when but at that point, I don't feel that they were attacking her. I feel that Jenny took a moment to address everyone and let them know, hey, this is what offended me, and then went from there, right? And then also gave Mary those damn shoes back, right? Now, Mary said something that I absolutely agreed with, right? Mary said the fact that, if it was so offensive to your culture that I re-gifted some shoes that I bought and gave them to you, then why did you take them in the first place? That was a really good question. Why did you take them in the first place, Jenny? If that was against your culture, if that was insulting in your culture. If it was insulting, be like, you know what, Mary? In my culture, we find it offensive to, especially after Mary said that she didn't buy the shoes, that they were in her closet. You should have been like, well, you know what? In my culture, it's a little bit offensive to re-gift a already gifted or purchased item to me, right? But you didn't do that. You took it and you brought it back. And the reason that you did that is because Lisa told you that the shoes were a gift for Jen, because Meredith said, well, did you tell her that they were a re-gift, that they were actually for Jen? She says, no, I told Lisa. And Lisa told her. So then Meredith said, well, why would Lisa tell her? And, Mary says, because of our relationship with each other, right? She feels, so what she's basically saying is, she feels that Lisa is potentially jealous of the friendship that Mary and Meredith have, right? Do I agree with that? Do I agree with that? Not necessarily, right? What I think the issue is, I don't think that she's jealous. What I think the issue might be is the fact that Lisa sees that Meredith defends, you know, Mary, even when she's wrong. And she's like, well, damn. You can't even do that for me with this whole Jen situation. And that's probably really what it is, right? That's probably what it is. So then we see the men. The men come up and tell the ladies that, hey, for Mother's Day, we're going to be sending you all to Zion, right? So I believe it was Jenny who asked, well, is Jen coming? And they said, yeah, we talked to Sharif, and Jen will be on the trip, right? It is what it is. This is a cash trip. I don't know what, Meredith has to suck this one up. This is a cash trip. You got to suck it up, Buttercup. So let's move forward, you guys, and wrap up the episode. All right, you guys. So we see the ladies, and they're heading to Zion, right? So they're not meeting up at Beauty Lab this time, but they are meeting up. They are in the same bus that they were in the last time, the same driver, right? But this time things are a little bit different. And the only thing that's different this time is the fact that Jen stayed around on this bus, right? Same situation as before. No Mary and no Meredith, right? So they're on their way out, right? And then they start having this conversation about Meredith, Jen, more those two, right? Now here's the point. I got confused because I didn't know what we were arguing about because Lisa and Jen were going back and forth, and I actually had absolutely no idea what the argument was about. Like, because now Jen, like, you say shit, right? And then when people come back at you, you play the victim. Because I heard her in a particular scene in this bus, she said, it's not my fault that Meredith had an affair. I'm like, this is what she was talking about. You bring up her family. But I was just like, what the fuck are we arguing about? Because Jen is screaming, Lisa's screaming. And if I had to dwindle it down to what I think they were arguing about, which I really don't know what they were arguing about, but from what it sounded like, Jen feels as if the ladies, I get, and more specifically Lisa, might not hold Meredith accountable for things that she does, but they'll come down hard on Jen for things. Now, and here's another issue that I had. Jenny, why did you feel the need to go and tell Jen that Meredith hired a private, excuse me, I didn't mean to burp, that Meredith had hired a private investigator? So, like I was saying, my issue with Jenny was the fact that she went and told Jen that Meredith had hired a private investigator. That had nothing to do with you, so I don't know why you felt the need to bring that situation up, right? But I will say, in this whole scene, Jen made everything about her. And I was just like, why? But like I said, I don't know what they were arguing about. I really don't. It felt like they were arguing about the fact that, like I said, it feels like Jen is saying, you guys treat me one way, but you don't do the same for Meredith. I think that's what she was saying. I don't know. If you guys know, please let me know in the comment section below. And that's it, you guys. Like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so that way you guys are notified when I drop anything else. Share this video, you guys. And until the next one, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Socially distance. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.